The day before Thanksgiving, there was a tragic event that happened in D.C. Two national members of the National Guard, were shot. Their names were Sarah Beckerman and Andrew Wolfe. Sadly, Sarah Beckerman, after she was taken to the hospital, she did not survive, and it's very tragic. It's a tragic event, and prayers go out to members of her family, and hopefully they can hopefully they get to grieve and they can move on. Hopefully, but it's very sad. And then hopefully Andrew Wolfe's still in critical condition, and hopefully he survives. And regards go out to his family members and the tragedy they're also facing here. The potential loss of a family member is great, and it's sad. All regards and all prayers go out to them and stuff like that. All prayers go out to them. Now, in the wake of this tragic event, a lot of things had happened, and especially with Donald Trump. Donald Trump definitely took this hard. And the reason he probably took it hard is because, first of all, it's his members of his own military, and it was also in D.C., so he probably knows people that at least know these, the people that were shot. So it's affected Trump. Also, another reason is it's because he promised to get rid of a whole bunch of immigrants and stuff like that. And the immigrant that ended up shooting them was from Afghanistan, and he was connected to the CIA. So now this has led to a massive crash out from Donald Trump, and he's now gone more extreme on particularly the immigration issue, and he's been pushing more and more for it. Now, the question is, the connection of the person, like the immigrant that shot the two, the fact that they were connected to the CIA is going to breed a whole bunch of conspiracy theories. Of course, there's always going to be theories about issues like, was it Donald Trump that ordered it? I don't think that's going to happen. That's true. But there's also what I think the main issue that happened here is the fact that you just brought in someone and you didn't really truly vet them. And if you bring them in from a country that was just war-torn by the U.S., you're probably not going to get someone from Afghanistan that's going to be supportive of the U.S. And this is an example of showing it. And Trump is now mad because now he's blaming the Biden administration, as he always has been. But this isn't a case where the Biden administration did let in a whole bunch of Afghani refugees that were not all of them were properly vetted. A lot of them didn't have connections to the U.S., and this is one of the cases where they did. But a lot of them weren't properly vetted. They weren't, and also they come from a culture that's opposing to the U.S. So this has led Trump to have a crash out over immigration again, which I actually think what he said about immigration is very true. So let's actually read the tweet. And this tweet was on Thanksgiving I believe it was after he announced the death of Sarah Beckerman. So this is a major crash out. So let's read it. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's read the tweet. Trump said, "Happy Thanksgiving and salutation to all of our great American citizens and patriots who have been nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for becoming politically correct and just plain stupid when it comes to immigration." So he's right there. He's basically saying, even though he's saying Happy Thanksgiving, he's basically yelling at all of the American people that voted for Biden. And honestly, it's somewhat a valid crash out because they did let in all these immigrants, and they do cause crime. They do cause issues. They're not going to assimilate. That's caused cultural conflict, and cultural conflict leads to more violence and more likely to be splits within the nation. And it's going to ruin social cohesion. So it is true. Um, so, uh, so basically, he's criticizing that, and I think it's valid to criticize all of that. Next he said the United States foreign population stands at around 43 million people census, which most are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drugs cartels. 53 million. That's a lot of people. In fact, I believe our population's around 400 million right now. So that right there, that's 12% of the U.S. population. That's an insane amount of people here that are from foreign nations. We need to decrease that. And the fact that almost a large portion of them are on, and most of them, over 50%, are on either welfare from failed nations, from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drug traffickers. Those are the fact that most, basically, over 50% of the immigrant population, which is going to be around 6% of the total population, is on welfare, not doing anything. That's a massive drain on welfare, on our welfare system, and on the country as a whole. It's going to be negatively affecting everyone. It's also going to push up prices because if you have that many people, again, 12% of the population is immigrants. Then if you got rid of that 12%, immigrants if they weren't there in the first place, then we wouldn't have the skyrocketing house prices because just basic supply and demand. Once you have a lot more people shoved into the country without an adequate increase in total number of housing units, that's going to massively increase the amount of increased price, as now you have more people competing for houses. You also have the same issue for foods, other resources too. It's not just housing, but housing is the biggest example. You can also see it with colleges. You can also see it with food, gas prices. All these things are affected by the amount of people you import. And the fact that we imported 12% of the population, that's an insane amount. Also, if you look at it, it's from the census. And fun fact, congressional apportionment doesn't take into account immigrants and whether they're legal or not, or even citizens. So when you have massive immigrant populations that aren't allowed to vote, and now all of a sudden you have certain states with a whole bunch of those immigrants, guess what? Those states get a massive increase in number of representatives in the House. And that affects also the total representation in the presidential election too, as the apportionment of electoral votes also goes by state, and it's based off the House of Representatives. So the fact that there's, again, 12% of the population is immigrants, that's massively skewing the census numbers when it comes to population in certain states. So it's incredibly unfair to Americans that were born here and are actual citizens that came here legally and everything like that. So the fact that that many people are in here, it's skewing everything. And it's not good for the American people. And it's not good for people born in America. So it's a bad that's there. So we got to remove them. Additionally, with that many people also causing, again, when it's stated, they say they're on welfare from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, drug trafficking, or cartels. It's with that large percent of the population actually causing issues there, not just social issues, but legal crime-related issues. Then it's going to cause a massive issue with law enforcement, and we're going to see an increase in crime. And actually, an increase in crime also leads to other issues. See an increase in theft, You're going to get more food deserts as companies leave areas that have more crime. It's going to cause other issues, higher mortality, murder rates, higher drug overdose deaths, and other things that are all related to crime. And so you're going to see massive increase in violent issues, and that's what we've seen. So having this many people that are all related to massive issues that are all related to issues that are causing drags on our system, that's not good. So you got to kick them out. First of all, they're not supposed to be in the first place. Second of all, why are we supporting them when we can't even support our own people? We still have people struggling. You have veterans on disability that can't that are homeless and they can't do anything. So why are we supporting people that are clearly not in our country? They're not citizens, and they don't have strong liens. They're not strongly connected to the people in the U.S. So next, let's read the next sentence. And they and their children are supported through massive payments of the patriotic American citizens who believe because of their beautiful hearts do not want to openly complain or cause trouble in any way, shape, or form. So it's basically saying that Americans right now, they're being weak. They're not actually standing up for what they want. Now, I think that's been changing. More and more people are especially the younger generation, are becoming more and more anti-immigration. And you saw that in 2025. You've seen it throughout the U.S. And this is actually, I think people are actually starting to realize the issues with it, and they're actually starting to stand up. Now, I don't think they're standing up enough, and there's still issues with the fact that they're not fighting for it enough, and they're not standing up for it, particularly in the ballot box. But still, people are starting to realize that immigration is a massive issue. And that's good, as now we actually are getting some people that are actually standing up and fighting against the massive increase in immigration. So the next sentence, they put up with what is happening to our country, but it's eating them alive to do so. Immigrants earning $30,000 with a green card will get roughly $50,000 a year, $50,000 in yearly benefits for their family. That's insane. They're basically living. They're only contributing $30,000 to the economy. They're also contributing such a small portion of that to taxes, and then they're getting $50,000 in response. That's an insane amount. They're not benefiting our nation in any way. They are harming our system. They are causing us to have a massive drain on the welfare state, and additionally, that's causing a massive increase in deficit. As currently our deficit's at 1.7 trillion. Now that Trump's cutting a whole bunch of stuff, it's been decreasing, but it's still, that's a $1.7 trillion deficit. That's over a 6% deficit. It's around a 6% deficit in terms 6% of GDP deficit. And if we continue to have this massive amount of debt and deficit spending, we're going to have a massive increase in debt. Already our net interest payments are larger than our defense spending. So the more we have this spending increase and massive deficit spending, we're going to see a more of a drain on our budget. And that's going to continue to happen if we continue to allow this type of welfare spending sent to illegal immigrants. There's no reason we should be sending that much to them, or even legal immigrants in any way, as they've been here. That's a net. Why are they here if they have that much of a net drain on our economy? They shouldn't be here in the first place. As we need to take care of our own people before we take care of immigrants from foreign nations. Next, the real immigrant population is much higher. This refugee burden is the leading cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II. Did not exist after World War II. Parentheses, failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits. All of those right there are examples of what's happening because we've imported this many immigrants. Those are all issues, and we're also seeing, besides just that, we're also seeing division and political extremism starting to rise up, because due to the fact that they're usually from foreign nations, they usually have allegiances to their foreign nation, to the nation they're originally from. So you see that, and also we particularly see it when we're importing people that are from cultures that do not that are inherently anti-American and inherently anti-human rights. So when we import people from Afghanistan, which are usually people that are in Afghanistan, support radical Islam. If we import people from Iran or Somalia even, and anyone that's has a radical tendency, then we'll see a massive increase in social dysfunction and massive increase in the amount of conflict and extremism you see from the groups. You've already seen this in Dearborn, Michigan, where recently the city allowed a mosque to send out massive, very loud prayer songs in a residential area, and yet they also banned at that point church bells. So they're continuing as an example of them incentivizing one religion over the other and actively suppressing Christians. So you've seen this massive dysfunction starting to happen due to the fact that we've seen we're importing so many immigrants and they're not actually assimilating. And that's causing massive dysfunction issues. Then let's go to the next sentence. As example, hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Somalian gangs are roving in the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in apartments and houses, hoping against hope that they will be left alone. So that's an example from Somalia. The gangs there are basically trying to control cities, and they're actively trying to cause crime. They're not doing anything. Also, we've been, due to the fact that we have so many Somali immigrants, we've actually seen a lot amount of money being funneled back to a terrorist group in Somalia. Due to the fact that we're giving money to all these people that are immigrants, and then they're funneling money to people back in Somalia, and that's going to the terrorist group in Somalia. So all these, so through this, actually our own welfare state is actually indirectly funding a terrorist group, and that's not helping the U.S. in any way, especially when we're supposed to be against terrorism. As you know, terrorism is incredibly bad. They kill people. So it's actually incredibly, the fact that our welfare state is actually sending that money indirectly to them is very harmful to us as Americans, and very harmful to us as taxpayers, and it's especially harmful to our foreign policy objectives. The seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both, while the worst congresswoman in our country, Ilhan Omar, was actively wrapped in her swaddling hijab, and who probably came into the U.S. illegally, in that dang it, in that you are not allowed to marry your brother. Does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, and how badly she's treated, when her place of origin is a decadent backwater and crime-ridden nation, which is essentially not even a country for lack of government, military, police, schools, etc. So basically saying That's basically he was ranting against both Tim Walz, which I do think Tim Walz has been absolutely incompetent, and he hasn't done anything. It's probably because he needs those voters, first of all, in Minnesota to actually support him so he stays in power. And that's probably why he's actually continuing to, why he's actually not helping it. So it's probably not fear or incompetence. It's probably just his natural incentive to keep those people supporting him. So that's probably why he hasn't done anything about it. And then Ilhan Omar. Yeah, there's been a controversy about her. We don't know if this is exactly true, but I think it's decently true. She came in through marrying her brother. That is illegal. That is marriage fraud in the first place. Second of all, incest. That's horrible. Leads to a whole bunch of genetic issues for the next generation. Next is the fact that she's in here and she's in Congress. It's horrible. If she violated our laws to get into here, she shouldn't be in Congress in the first place. She's committed a crime. She's committed, and she's also, while also committing a crime, she's also continuing to advocate for policies to help her home country, and basically advocating for us to send money over there. And it's not. She's one of the worst congressperson people ever. She's incredibly extreme too. So, basically shitting on Ilhan Omar, and I love that he's doing that. She is probably one of the worst politicians we've ever had. Even as we had have progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains in living conditions for many. I will permanently pause immigration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Terminate all of millions of Biden's illegal emissions, including those Sleepy Joe signed by Sleepy Joe's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, and end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country. Denaturalize immigrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who's in a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. Yes, great. Those people all need that. That's great. Because, first of all, why are we even letting them in if they're not benefiting their society? And they shouldn't get any benefits from the U.S. government. Because unless they're actually able to support themselves in the nation, they shouldn't be here otherwise. Because they should... The only reasonable argument for supporting immigration is that they actually benefit our nation in some way. And that's the only reason you'd want to import an immigrant. And if they're living off the welfare state, they're not benefiting the American population at all. They have not done any economic work. They're not benefiting our nation through increased taxes. They're not benefiting our nation through doing jobs. They're not. If they can't survive in the U.S., then they shouldn't be here. We shouldn't support them. It would just be a drain on our system. And those resources should be going to Americans, not foreign people from foreign nations. Additionally, if they can't even support themselves, this actually harms the average U.S. citizens by also, even if they get a job and they can't support themselves, it also harms U.S. citizens by the fact that it's actually removing jobs from the market. So why are we even letting anyone in? Also, if they're causing disturbances and they don't actually love our country, why are they here in the first place? If they're here for only economic reasons, that's not an actual good reason to be in the U.S. There's plenty of other nations that have good economic situations, not just the U.S. You look at Europe, you look at Canada. We don't, as America, we don't have to support every single person in the world. The only job of government is to protect the rights of citizens and protect the rights of the people there. And and that's what's not happening. And if you allow illegal immigrants in, You're not protecting American citizens. You're not benefiting them in any way. So they have so you should remove everyone that's causing harmful situations. That's here from third world countries that have not benefited us at all, and remove anyone that's illegally here in the country. And even removing anyone that's not loving our country, because if they don't love our country, then they're actually caught an issue for they're causing an issue of the breakdown of social cohesion, and they're actually an enemy within the side nation, which would help, which is inherently anti-American, which would just help destroy our country. So you don't want someone in the country that's not actually supportive of the U.S. So yes, good. I wish he can actually go this far, and I hope he does. And the fact that he's actually paused third world immigration is great. In fact, I think you should pause pretty much every single immigration thing, unless it's from unless it's proven that they can actually survive in the U.S. and they're actually doing high skilled jobs. So I also like the idea of removing any benefits to those people, because if they can't survive without U.S. benefits, then there's no reason for them to even be here in the first place. So yes, this is good. Trump, it's great. Now I just got to remove everyone, and hopefully he's actually successful in removing everyone. And hopefully ICE continues to do a good job. In fact, I hope that they escalate and do even deport even more people, because that would be great. Okay, so where was I? Okay. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through unauthorized illegal auto pen and approval process. That's another thing. In my opinion, the auto pen shouldn't be allowed at any time, because first of all, if you actually allow auto pen, then you would have documents that aren't actually agreed upon by the president that have a signature. And that would be incredibly harmful, as you would have policies that are actually instituted that might not actually be supported by the president, by someone in his cabinet that's basically manipulating behind the scenes. So this is great that Trump's actually doing this, because auto pen, in my opinion, shouldn't be allowed in the first place. It shouldn't be allowed at all. But yeah. And otherwise, the one argument for auto pen is saving time for the president. Now, I think that's a valid argument. Now, the issue is with that, you could find a better way to reduce the amount of time and make sure that they're reading through it and everything, and know what they're actually signing. So the fact that you're still allowing auto pen means that the president probably hasn't read through the document in the first place, and that means that it's an issue, because then he doesn't know what he's signing in the first place. And signing it itself doesn't take that much time. It only takes a couple seconds. So there's no reason to use auto pen at all. None at all. Okay. It says, only a reverse migration can fully cure the situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long. Yes! Reverse migration is really the only solution. You gotta kick all these people out that are here, that are a drain on our system. They came here and are a drain on our system. We should kick those people out, because those people don't deserve to be here. They weren't born here. They came in here looking to benefit off of our system without doing anything to actually help it. We gotta just remove all of them. And I think that's a very good idea, and that's what Trump should do, as it will end up reducing poverty, less of a drain on our financial system within our government. There wouldn't be as many issues with taxes. There wouldn't be as many social cohesion issues. This is, yes. Now, the question is, will he continue to act on it? Will he actually end up getting everyone removed? And will he end up actually doing stuff to reduce the illegal population? And when he does that, then I will gladly support this, and I will actually continue to support Trump. Now, over my last couple of videos, I've been hating on Trump as I don't love what he's been doing a lot. But this is something I absolutely love. He is doing something that's good for the country. He is actually solving issues that are affecting every American. And this will actually work. So, yes, Trump's actually doing something. And he's actually doing something helpful. And, if he actually does this, I will support his presidency a lot more than I have been doing recently. But this is a major win. A major, major win. But the only thing that's sad about this, though, is that this only happened because of what happened to the 2 National Guards members that were shot in D.C. And that's kind of sad that it's only happened because of that. It's been a wake-up moment for Donald Trump, but he should have been doing this from the start. And that's something that's not great. But at least it's a wake-up moment, and there's a small silver lining. But still, it is a tragic situation, and hopefully all these policies do not actually help solve these issues in the future, and we don't have another tragic situation like what happened on the day before Thanksgiving. And hopefully that doesn't actually happen again because of these policies. But hopefully everything works out, and prayers go out to the family members of the 2 National Guards members, and condolences to their families, and hopefully Andrew Wolfe is able to survive, and everything like that. But at least there's a silver lining in this. There's this silver lining, even though it came in the wake of a tragic situation. But anyway, prayers go out to all the family members of Andrew Wolfe and Sarah. So prayers go out to them, and hopefully Andrew Wolfe recovers and everything like that. So thanks for watching, and hopefully things get better in the future.